What's up everybody, Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the new Valorant meta, where things are moving, what has been happening ever since the crazy addition to Fade, Jett being nerfed, and what is the ramifications on pro play, scrim play, and ranked play. There's a lot we got to talk about, so we're going to break it all down. Now, I know that many of you have been grinding incredibly hard this spring to reach your all-time peak, but you're getting a little musty, and here to help is our returning Manscaped partnership. Now, Manscaped sent us an all-new package that includes things like the deodorant and body wash, and even this really fucking good lip balm. I'm serious. You can get the Performance Package 4.0 that comes with waterproof shavers and trimmers, everything you need from all-in-one shampoos, conditioners, to body washes, and more accessories like these. And here's the thing, I'm gonna be real with you guys for a second. It's super easy for you to just neglect your physical and mental health. As guys, it happens all too often. But really, if you're not physically feeling good, you're not gonna mentally feel good as well. And Manscaped has everything you need so that you're at the tip top of your game. So what are you waiting for? Use code MILFs right now down below in the links at the Manscaped checkout for 20% off your order and free shipping. Go check it out right now down below. Now, the EMEA Challenger Stage 2 Champions has started, so while there isn't a whole bunch of games to analyze, we do have some high-level gameplay that we can look at and see the pick rates of certain characters. And I also have personal insight into Tier 3 scrims, seeing a lot of the changes that are happening, and yeah, I wanted to talk about what is happening, what is changing with all these crazy additions and changes to the roster. Now, the first thing that we need to talk about is Fade. Fade is actually seeing pro play right now, and in scrims she's seeing play more and more. And while Silver right now still has a much larger pick rate, this is really good news for Fade mains, because while yeah, it looks like it's like she lost, right? You see, hey, she's being picked less right now, so she obviously lost. That's not really how it works when we're talking about active tournaments where teams are trying to guaranteed victory. I mean, you got to remember that these teams have been grinding with Silva nonstop. The Silva players are incredibly good, and Fade is a brand new character that shows potential, but is really hard to master. And you can't expect teams, especially when they're really trying to qualify, whether it's in a recent LAN or whether it's just for points in a season. Fade is more of a gamble right now than Silva is. So the fact that Fade is already picking up these percentage points and pick rate is a really good thing for Fade. And I will imagine going into the future, we're gonna see more and more Fade seeing play, and it's looking like she's going to bring a lot of healthy competition to Silva, because even just at like that 20% pick rate so far that we see, it's already eating away some of Silva's pick rate, where he's fallen down to about 50%, and that's definitely very, very interesting. Now, the next thing that we need to talk about is Jett, right? Jett is a really powerful character, but based on early play rates from pro play and the insight I have into tier 3, tier 2 scrims, Jett is seeing less play than she did before the nerfs. Now, that doesn't mean that Jett's a bad character, because she's still seeing play on some maps. There's some maps where she's absolutely dominant on. She still sees good amount of play on Ascent, good amount of play on Haven and Icebox, but that doesn't mean that she is gonna see play everywhere. On maps like Fracture, she's starting to see less and less, if any, play at all. And we're starting to see that now. You're gonna see that there's some favorable maps per Jett, and there's gonna be some unfavorable maps per Jett, and you're also gonna see some compositions and teams favoring her more than others. Unlike before, where it was like she's so powerful that she was almost an auto-include on every team composition. She was played on almost every map, and she just slotted in just based on her sheer power level when compared to the other duelists and initiators. Now there's a lot more competition for the slot. Now Jett is in a much more healthy place, and while she's definitely going to be good and played a lot, like if we look at her pick rate right here, it doesn't show the full story because Haven was played only one time out of all these numbers. So her actual percentage number with enough data would be probably closer to 50%, 45%. That makes a lot more sense than what she's at now, but that's not the 75, 80% that she's been in the past. And it really means that there are a lot of other options, and we're seeing other duelists see play. Characters like Neon are starting to see a little bit of play here and there. We're also seeing a lot more Raze pick rate. We're also seeing more Initiator play. Characters like KO on some maps are actually being played with another initiator such as Sova. And as Fade gets better and better, we're gonna probably see this more, where for instance, maybe on a map like Fracture, we end up seeing Fade and Breach because Breach is really strong. Or maybe we see KO on Ascent with Sova, like we're already seeing somewhat now. We could see that more and more. And the duelist role is actually getting squeezed quite a bit, right? Every composition is gonna have a controller, and almost every team is playing Chamber in some way, in some fashion, on the majority of maps. So you got a controller player, you got Chamber, and then you're gonna rock, you know, maybe 2 initiators, so then you have 1 duelist spot. And you have to choose between Reyna, Jet, and even Neon. And from the numbers, looking in, it looks like the duelist role is actually the weakest role right now, because you don't really need that sort of aggressive entry when you have so many great effective ways to create entry with information, with potentially flashing in. Someone like KO is kind of a duelist entry hybrid. You got Omen blinds, you have really great flashes with Breach on Fracture for retakes and things like that. And I'm sure that when we actually analyze in a little while, when there's a little bit more data, we can analyze the NA region, which typically is more duelist focused. It seems that the EU region has a much bigger emphasis on initiators and sentinels. Like in EU, Sage sees a way more play than she sees in NA. That's just one example. And what's also super interesting is what's gonna happen in the future. We already talked about Fade eating up more pick rate, but we also know that there's gonna be certain changes coming through at some point. Buffs to Phoenix or even a potential rework. Cypher is also on the radar to get a buff as well, and those characters are characters that have pretty low pick rate right now. Phoenix having almost no pick rate in pro play, if any at all. And I wouldn't be surprised if that stock increases immensely. Now, of course, these are preliminary results. We don't have a huge sample size, but we're gonna revisit this data in a little bit, in a couple of weeks when we have more information to actually digest. But for now, I wanted to give you a little sneak peek into what the meta is looking like, what's changing and what's happening behind the scenes, and maybe you can get ahead of the curve and start grinding your new main. Go check out our Manscaped partnership and use code MILFs at the Manscaped checkout for 20% off your order right now in the links down below.